Now, I'm really excited to introduce our next speakers. First up, we have Stephanie Brown, who is the founder and CEO of the Rosie Network. Stephanie is a senior military spouse, wife of recently retired Our Admiral Thomas L. Brown. He's a SEAL. Stephanie grew up as an Air Force brat, moving around the country and overseas, and now is a sought-after subject matter expert and speaker on entrepreneurship. Stephanie has dedicated over 20 years to supporting and advocating on behalf of military families as well as veterans. And we're so happy to have her here today. So welcome, Stephanie. Stephanie is going to be joined in conversation with our own Zara Chowdhury. Zara has not been with us for very long, but she's made a huge impact on Power to Fly, our company culture, and so many other things. So Zara, I'm going to turn the floor over to you and Stephanie. Can't wait to hear your conversation.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Meg. And welcome, Stephanie. So excited and glad that you're here with us today. So I'd like to kick us off by just asking you what led to the start of the Rosie Network. You are muted, Stephanie.
Well, see, technology. Well, thank you for having me. And thank you truly to you and everyone for putting this amazing program together. I love it. And especially today, focusing on veterans, military spouses, and Power to Fly and entrepreneurship. Yeah, I grew up in the military. You know, it's funny, I get asked that question a lot. How did the Rosie Network come about? And I usually tell the story of that, you know, my husband was deployed and I needed to find a plumber, which is true. And I went on Angie's List and Craigslist and spent all this time. And then I thought to myself, hey, wait a second, you know, my father who served, you know, when he retired, he went on to open up a music store. Why can't I hire a veteran plumber? And it kind of started me on this journey of, you know, there was no way to actually go online and locate a verified veteran or military spouse plumbing company. And that was kind of what started the journey. And I thought Angie's List, Craigslist, who really represents the military community and the whole, you know, American consumer and country coming together to support the efforts of those men and women who serve. And Rosie the Riveter stood out. Hello, we can do it. So she immediately, we adopted her and set out to create this first of its kind resource, this directory that you can go on. Today, it's the largest of its kind. It's absolutely free, rosieslist.org. And you can find tens of thousands of verified veteran and military family-owned businesses all across the country. But I go back further than that, and I think to myself, when was I really bitten by this entrepreneurial bug? And it was when my father, who was a Vietnam veteran, served 20 years, and he retired here in the state of California and opened up a music store. And I, as a high schooler, would spend my weekends and after school going in there and, you know, doing everything. I had no, you know, experience, but really learning the nuts and bolts of running a small business. And I think, you know, I learned from him that it was, you know, running a successful business is way more than just about making money. If you're in it to just make money, you're running a poor business. You know, it's really about making an impact in your community. And I watched him do that from other Vietnam veterans that would come into the music store, and he would completely take care of them. And now, as I'm much older and wiser, I realized that it was a healing, it was a therapy for him and others. And that connection, that just that incredibly powerful, you know, nurturing environment and the ability to give back and connect and help others really resonated with me. And that I honor his service and his legacy by continuing to do what he did, and that was to really give back and make an impact on the community that I grew up in, I married in, and I've raised kids in. So that's really, you know, that was kind of how it all began way back, you know, as a high schooler.
I love that. And I think, I mean, that's so interesting. You know, I'd love to hear a little bit more about, like, why do military families choose the entrepreneurial path after service? I mean, you've mentioned it. Obviously, you also said how your dad opened up a store. I'd love to hear a little bit more about why do military families choose that entrepreneurial path?
You know, that's such a great question. And I think for military spouses in particular, of which I am one, veteran spouse, it is in some ways, and based on studies that we've done and others have done, for spouses, it's in part a necessity, since we move every 2 to 3 years. We pick up our families, our houses, our lives, our jobs, and relocate over and over and over again. So being able to get that, follow that traditional trajectory of a career and a traditional job is very, very difficult. So really offering a portable career. Military spouses hold higher levels of education than our civilian counterparts, and yet we're paid up to 30% less for the same jobs. And that has to do with that sort of transient lifestyle. And, when you have a service member constantly deploying, going off on training, it's tough because you're suddenly, we find ourselves, and we're not all women, there are male military spouses out there. We find ourselves oftentimes in the role of a single parent. So it becomes difficult. So thinking outside the box and really, navigating toward what can I do for myself? How can I take my expertise, my career, my passion, and build something, really that power to fly for myself by starting a small business, right? By becoming an independent contractor, a remote worker, a small business owner. And that's really kind of, where Rosie steps in to help make that happen. And veterans, we find, or transitioning, it is just an extension of service. So it's that desire to continue to serve, to become a part of the community. So veterans are more likely to become small business owners than our civilian counterparts. And 48% of military spouses are turning towards self-employment entrepreneurship. Those are record numbers.
That's just a high number.
Astounding. And the fastest growing segment of startup and growth are minority women business owners. I mean, so that it's really an exciting time.
And I mean, I love that. And I was going to say that actually leads right into my next question, which is we definitely live in a time where small businesses are flourishing. And it's really giving veteran spouses an opportunity to have the taste of the American dream. And would love to hear, in your experience, what are some barriers that veterans and military spouses face when trying to achieve this dream? And then secondly, how does the Rosie Network really empower them and allow them to create opportunities for themselves and their families?
And again, another great question, right? So oftentimes a lot of the barriers are similar to non-military spouses out there that are looking to launch and grow, and especially for women and women of color, access to capital. I mean, we all know the statistics, right? For investors, one that tend not to invest in, sadly, though we are, seeing a bit of a change of that in women-owned businesses. We are the least invested in a segment of startups out there. But I think, that through, events like this and educational opportunities like this, we're seeing that shift. We all also probably know the statistics that women have a better shot at being successful as a startup business owner than our male counterparts. Nothing against our male counterparts, but it's definitely worth investigating and looking into. But it's the moving, again, some of the earlier struggles that I mentioned when you're an active duty spouse. That moving, the having to, set down roots time and time again and reinvent yourself and start all over. But again, the access to capital, what we find in the military community is more veterans and spouses, they are less likely to turn to traditional capital options, such as taking out a business loan. Oftentimes their credit is not as good, again, because some of the earlier, mentioned challenges, the lack of a longstanding career or job record, income, et cetera. So they're less likely to go those traditional access to capital channels. They tend to bootstrap their businesses, which can also be a challenge. So what we do, I like to say that you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're out there hustling, your service or your product better than anybody, right? I mean, that is your strength. What you may not know is some of the business acumen, right? So like, for instance, what type of legal entity is going to work best for you? What are the HR laws in your state? Things like that. What's the difference between a trademark and a copyright? What do you need? That's where Rosie steps in. And our program, which we've been providing for coming up on 7 years now. We celebrate our 10-year anniversary next year, but we've been teaching this program for over 7 years. We developed it in partnership with California State University. So our program called Service to CEO, it is absolutely free. We started providing it in San Diego, and then about 5 years ago, we launched across the country. We had such a request from spouses and veterans around the country going, hey, how can we get access to that program? And so we provide Service to CEO now in 36 states and overseas. But it really runs through, we've broken it down into 8 modules, and we become your accountability partner. We give you a workbook. We have the absolute best subject matter experts that come in, from attorneys, HR experts, marketing gurus, etc. And you join a small cohort of like-minded veterans and spouses or active duty, and you go through that process together, whether you're in concept phase, launch phase, growth. And, you learn and build your business together with fellow military members. And it's really extraordinary. I'm incredibly proud of what we've built, and it's really been a team effort. So yeah, we're here to bring that expertise. You're the expert on your business. We help you successfully launch, scale, and grow it. And I mean, we have a 98% net promoter rating, which means 98% of people who go through our program will highly recommend it. It is really transformational. And I have to say, it is one of the first and only programs specifically for this community of its kind out there. So we've really been sort of the tip of the spear on developing and training and mentoring and networking for this community of business owners and budding entrepreneurs. Yeah.
I love that. It's like a one-stop shop to like really
exactly. Yeah.
Both. I love it. That's amazing. So, I mean, as your work clearly states, you understand the importance of financial stability and self-sufficiency in military families. You've mentioned that a few times now. Would you say that in this case, the Rosie Network especially empowers women spouses? How does financial stability give freedom to the families and therefore the community at large? Would just love to hear like further thoughts from you around that.
Well, it's interesting. A previous Secretary of Defense actually called or referred to the incredibly high military spouse unemployment and underemployment as a national security crisis. And even today, I mean, coming to you from San Diego, 1 in 4 military families in San Diego active duty qualify for food subsidies. We know what I was just listening to it this morning, that 30%, just under 30% of active duty military families experience food insecurity. So financial stability is absolutely critical. Many military families have to or end up living as a single income provider, right? The service member. And for the reasons I mentioned earlier, military spouses, because we have the highest unemployment rate of any other segment, and 98% of military spouses are women, might be a little bit less than that, but it's become such an issue that the Department of Defense and many others are focusing on. How do we get military spouses employed? How can we help impact the financial stability of these families by taking it from a single income provider to having a dual income family when and if possible, right? So if you can Google what an E3, E4 makes, I mean, it is oftentimes at or below the poverty line. My father was enlisted, and when I didn't know it as a kid, but we lived below the poverty level growing up. So it is definitely something that, our mission is to help empower those, especially spouses, near and dear to my heart, to help them not think that traditional employment is their only option. Okay, so if they're a major handicrafter, or they're an accountant, or they're even an attorney, or we have all across, you name it, there are military spouses out there that are doing it. Helping empower them to not just start a business, but actually bring in revenue, right? Bring in revenue. And then what we're finding is they hire other military spouses. So it's really this, it's this complete circle, which is really, really beneficial. So it's our community, spouses within our community, creating the solution for our community and providing that service. And so it's incredibly important. And I also get asked this, people ask me all the time, what can we do? What can we do to help? We love what you're doing, Stephanie, in the Rosie Network. I mean, we love what you're doing. How can we help? Well, buy from, patronize, find a veteran or military spouse-owned business out there, whether it's, landscaping, house cleaning. The holiday is coming up, right? Why not shop and buy from a military spouse or veteran-owned business? I mean, that's really the way that we can help impact, these families. Put our money where our mouth is. Don't just go to the big guys online, and shop there. You can go to Rosie's List, or you can Google veteran-owned. We work with Grow with Google. They have a veteran-led badge. So businesses get verified through our portal, and then they can get access to this veteran-led badge by Grow with Google. I mean, there's many ways to find businesses out there. So I encourage everyone to do that.
No, that's a wonderful reminder, Stephanie. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about what is the kind of support that you have already received from your donors and others who you have served.
Well, as a nonprofit organization, and when I have to admit, I was a business owner in Washington, D.C., in that area when I met, and then, married my husband. I owned a business. And in fact, when we got married and he received orders overseas, I, like so many others, packed up my bags and, I ended up selling my business, and then I became, unemployed, and I mean, it was really frustrating for me. But it was, what I realized was I didn't know anything about starting a nonprofit when I began this journey. Seriously. I knew nothing. I knew how to start a for-profit, and I knew my area of expertise and what I was capable of doing. So I had to surround myself with others who had that expertise, which is what I counsel entrepreneurs to do all the time. And it really, it is, the time, the treasure, and the talent. So when you start something, don't do it alone. Don't go through this journey alone. And I didn't. I realized really quickly, I can't do this alone. If I want to make this the level of impact that I want to make, I'm going to have to bring in others. And that includes volunteers. That includes subject matter experts. That includes donors. It's really hard to build. I mean, we pay our chapter leads that teach our program. We pay them, and they are active duty or veteran military spouses or veterans themselves. They're not unpaid volunteers. We pay them because they have value, right? So it is, I would encourage anyone that, hears and thinks that investing in our military members and their families to help build and impact and grow our economy and create jobs, and, right here in the USA, that to reach out to us and help us continue and grow our mission. I would love to share, Service to CEO is our program. It is a national award-winning program. It's been recognized by the Small Business Administration. We won the Newman's Own Award, Fisher House Award, Chamber of Commerce Award, etc. So it's a proven program, and we are now providing it to the Wounded Warrior Project, We're providing it to the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, which trains and supports military caregivers. Many of those are spouses. We have a brand new program all about government contracting. We are getting ready to roll out, and we work through our sister organization, the U.S. Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. We're rolling out, and we will be introducing a pilot program, which we hope will get congressional support for military spouses to actually be recognized for government contracting set-asides, which I think will be a game changer for our military spouse community. Many other categories are recognized for those government contracting opportunities. Now we have military spouses that can be recognized, which I'm really excited about. So if you're a military spouse owned business, or if you're a business out there that wants to contract with military spouses, you can go to the milspousechamber.org. We launched earlier this year. We launched the very first of its kind nationally recognized military spouse owned enterprise certification to certify like a woman owned, like veteran owned, like minority owned. Now there's a certification industry standard for military spouse owned businesses out there, and it is free. It is free. So yeah,
that's exciting.
Lots of great things happening.
That's awesome. Thank you so much
but we
for
can't
sharing.
do it alone. We can't do it alone.
Of course.
Everything helps. Everything helps. So if you've got a skill set and you want to help, you want to be a mentor, every single one of our cohort participants receives mentorship, and you want to donate, please reach out to us.
That's awesome, Stephanie. We have a question from the audience for you. Where should a military member or spouse or veteran who wants to step out on faith to start their own business start? Sometimes the idea of owning a business is great, but as you stated, there's a lot of work that goes into making this a successful process.
So, I like to say we want to help you launch and grow your business with confidence and clarity and in compliance, which is oftentimes overlooked. You can reach out, you can go to our website, you can, email us at contact@therosienetwork.org. You can follow us on social media. We post the application link to join a cohort. We have them starting all throughout the year, all around, the year. So you can find one that is in your time zone. Because of COVID, we pivoted to providing our program remotely. So, if the weekends work best for you, if during the day works best for you, you can find a program or a cohort that works best with you. And then when you graduate from the program, you actually can join we don't let you go, right? Because you know how this goes, right? Service never ends. We don't let you go. You can join, and we encourage you to join our national alumni program, where we continue the mentorship and the training. I mean, this is a heart and soul project for me, right? So it is, how can we help you, get laser focused on where you are, where you want to go, and what you need to do to get there. And then you become a part of the largest network of its kind in the country of like-minded military budding entrepreneurs and small business owners. So please reach out to us. We love talking to people like you.
I mean, your passion is it's contagious. I love it. It's definitely coming through. And I want to thank you for being here today, for spending some time with us, sharing your experience. I'd love to just hear one final what is your final advice or tip that you would really want to share with the audience members?
Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't do it. Don't wait. I hear this all the time. Well, when the kids go back to school, when they graduate from school, when my husband retires, when I retire, when I have X amount of dollars in the bank, all these things that we self-create, right, that hold us back. Don't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. Take that step. If you are currently employed, it's okay to start a business while you're currently employed, right? You can do it as a side hustle, right? And it's really kind of ideal to do it that way. We take you whether, you can come to the Rosie Network and join a cohort, even if you're just in concept. And the camaraderie and support that you'll get from others in your cohort and all across the country is phenomenal. Don't wait, take the leap. I like to say, there's a some, social media post that I saw many years ago that just really appealed to me. And it's like this little kid with this big cape on, right? And he's standing on the cliff, and it's entrepreneurship, is jumping off the edge of the cliff and building the airplane on the way down. It can be like that, but doing it with others, who have a shared experience and passion and care is really the only way to do it. It's really the only way to do it. So don't wait for the perfect time, and then define what success means to you, not other people, not social media, not, what does it mean to you? Is it to make just enough money to make a car payment, go on a family vacation? That's great. Don't let anyone, make you feel like you have to do something different. Do you want to grow something to, help the world? Fantastic. That's okay too. Define what success means to you, build a team, and join the Rosie Network. Those are really, that's the key to success.
I love that, Stephanie. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here with us. I will kick it back over to our lovely Power to Fly facilitators.
Thank you.